Welcome and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we're going to be looking at discounts. So we're going to start from small, easy questions, and then we're going to move over to like some hard questions. It might be a little bit hard for some others, not hard for some others, but either way, we're going to be looking at some discounts questions. So if you haven't watched, oh, I think there's like 4 videos that I've put on financial mathematics, if I'm not mistaken. The discounts, we did a little bit of intro in the first video. I think it was part 1 of financial mathematics. If you still haven't watched that, please go have a look at that and then pause this video and then just come back to this one as soon as you've done, watching that one. So it's the financial mathematics part 1. That's where you will find an intro on discounts. But either way, let's get started. So with this, I'm going to type a question, and then after that, we're going to, figure it out and, yeah, have a look at it. So the first question says to us that a shop, oopsie, a shop sells a jacket with a marked price of 1,200 Rand. Okay, so that's what they're telling us. The shop gives, the shop first gives a discount of 25% and an additional 10% discount on the reduced price. The question says, calculate the final price the customer pays. So calculate the final price that the customer pays. So I'll make this a little bit bigger. So, oops, let me go this way. Okay, so a shop sells a jacket with a marked price of 1,200. The shop first gives a discount of 25% and an additional 10% discount on the reduced price. Calculate the final price the customer pays. So I'm interested in the jacket. I get to the shop and I see that, oh, this jacket costs 1,200 Rand. Okay. So I see, okay, this jacket costs 1,200 Rand. Then I see that they say to me, oh, the discount for this jacket is 25%. And then they also say that we'll give an additional 10% discount on the reduced price. So now we need to figure out how much money are we going to pay. Okay, so first things first is we first need to find the 25% discount on this amount. So in order to do that, we're going to say 1,200 times 25%. And if we put that in our calculator, we'll then get 900 Rand. That's the first step. The second step says that an additional 10% discount on the reduced price, not on the initial price, on the reduced price. So it's already reduced to 900 Rand, and they say that they're adding a 10% discount on that price. So we'll then say 900 times the 10% discount, and then we'll be able to get 810. So calculate the final price the customer has to pay. The customer will pay 810 Rand. So that's how we get our answer. So if it was a case where they didn't say to us that the 10% discount is on the reduced price, then that would mean that 10%, you need to go 10% of the original price. Okay, so you need to read your questions carefully, guys. Read your questions carefully. Then let's look at another question. Another question says, a customer pays 1,080 after a 20% discount on an item. And the question says, what was the original 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 price? So, oops, that's too big. Okay, so a customer pays 1,080 after 20% discount on an item. What was the original amount? We saw that on the first question, we had the original amount, we had the discount, and then we found the price that the customer would pay. Now this is backwards. We need to calculate how much was the original price if we know how much the customer paid and we know the discount. So in order for this, we need to then figure out to say that, okay, after the discount, that means that the customer had paid 80% because they're saying to us that after a discount of 20%. So that means that the customer essentially paid 80% because the 20% was discounted. If they said after 30% discount, then that means as a customer you paid 70%. If it was 50% discount, that means you paid 50% of the whatever the price is for whatever that you are buying. So you paid 80%. So the customer paid 80%. So what we're then going to do is we're going to say, okay, we need to take the amount that the customer paid, which is 1080, and we're going to divide by what the customer paid. So the customer paid 80%. Then from there, we're able to get our answer, which should give us 1350. And that is how much was the original price. That's how much the customer paid. That was the original price of the product it is. So it could have been a jersey, a pair of shoes, whatever it is. The amount was 1,350. And then they said they give a 20% discount and the customer paid 1080. So that's that question. Then for the next question, I hope this is making sense. I hope it makes sense. If it's not, just rewatch the video or just leave a comment below asking your question. A phone is marked at 2,500. Okay. Then they say that the shop gives a 15% discount, but then adds 15% VAT on the discounted amount. Discounted amount. Then the question says calculate the final price. Firstly, where do we get this phone for 2.5 and then they give us 15% discounts? That's like so impossible. So let's see how to get to the answer. Okay, so that phone costs 2.5. The shop gives 15% discount, but then adds, oops, spelling price, but then adds 15% VAT on the discounted amount. We're going back to VAT. VAT, I said in the beginning of the video, part 1 of financial mathematics, I did go over VAT as well as a little bit intro on discount. So if you still need a recap on that, just please go watch that video. So the first thing we need to do is we need to calculate the discount. Okay, so we already know that we have 2,500 times 15%, and that should give us 2,125. That's the discounted amount. Okay, discounted amount. Then step 2, oops, amount. Then step 2 says Oh, well, step two that you need to do is the 15% VAT, because they literally just said that they add 15% on the discounted amount. So we need to take that discounted amount, which is 2125, and then we need to multiply it by 15%. And that should give us 2443.75. So that is the final price. So that means that the phone was 2,500. They gave me a 15% discount, and then they added 15% VAT. So then I ended up paying 2,443 and 75 cents. So that is that question and how to tackle it. Then the next question. So sometimes, guys, let's just have a quick look at this. Sometimes they might say to you, there's 30% discount of 900 Rand, for example. It's still the same concept. The wording is a bit weird, but then it's still the same concept. You would still go ahead and say your 900 times your 30%, and then that should still give you your answer. So don't get confused when it comes to that. Okay? And then, yeah, basically that is literally it when it comes to discounts. So you need to also be able to understand. Okay, let's look at another question. So another question, I'm going to look at one final question, and reason being is it's a little bit tricky or a little bit different. So they say that a smartphone originally costs 3,500, but is sold for 2,975. And then the question says to us, calculate the discount percentage. Calculate the discount percentage. So now they don't give us the discount. They tell us that we need to find the discount. What was the discount? That's what they're looking for. So this smartphone, it costs 3.5, and then we sold it for this much. What is the percentage? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to subtract. So you're going to subtract the original amount, which is 3,500, minus the amount that it was sold for. So 2,975, and that should give you 525. So that's the discount price, if I can put it that way. So that means that they gave you a 525 Rand discount so that you can buy the phone for 2,975. That's that. But that's not what they're asking you. They're asking you for the discount percentage. This is the discount price. If they were saying calculate the discounted price, then that would be your answer. Sure, that's fine. But they're asking for the discount percentage. So how do we get the discount percentage? In order for us to get the discount percentage, we need to take the discount price, which is 525, and then we need to divide it by the original price. So 3,500, and then we need to multiply by 100 so that this can give us a percentage, because a percentage essentially is just 100. That's what percentage is. So if it's 3%, that just means 3 over 100, if you didn't know that. So that's why we're multiplying by 100. And then if we punch all this in our calculator, we'll then receive 15%. So that is the discount percentage. Discount percentage. And that is how you will find your discount percentage. So I hope this video made sense. I hope you guys, have a good understanding when it comes to discounts, how to calculate the discount price, how to calculate the discount percentage, how to find the original price if they've given you the discounted price, and also how to find the discounted price if they've given you the original amount. I hope this video made sense. Please like this video if you liked the video. Leave a comment below for any questions. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next one.